Editing tells a story. Editing is one of the most important parts of filmmaking. Without editing, there would be no film. Editing is a stage in film productions when the story is put together. It's an art form that they don't want the viewer to see. Before editing was discovered, film was a single shot of something interesting to the eye, but lacked narrative, therefore people didn't believe that film had a future. The film editor has to take all the footage shot and assemble it into a movie that the audience will see. The editor works closely with the director. They make the edit into the director's cut, which then must be approved by the producers, until they have achieved a picture lock or fine cut. The very earliest filmmakers were afraid to edit film shots together, because they thought that connecting together different shots of different things and different positions would simply confuse the audience, and they wouldn't be able to follow the stories. Where it all began. The Lumiere brothers started it all off in 1895. They invented the cinematograph. It was a three-way machine that recorded, captured, and projected a motion in picture. In 1901, Edwin S. Porter showed the industry that it didn't have to be a long clip. He started experimenting by sticking different parts of film together. C.W. Griffith discovered that you can reflect emotion through different angles and the pace of editing. He was the first editor. He invented specific techniques which include introducing narrative to film. He was also the first man that used the close-up. Before digital editing, they used analog editing. It involved cutting down the film negatives and placing them in order. Analog editing was very time-consuming, and a short clip would have taken months to edit. Analog editors would shuffle back and forth to the frame they wanted to cut. Then the film would be put into a slicer to be cut and sealed to make a scene. Digital editing. Since the invention of computers, digital editing for filming has taken over. Editing with a computer is much faster and more efficient and easier to use. It is also a lot cheaper, so it makes it more available to more people. The Great Train Robbery by Edwin Porter was made in 1903, shows how the use of cutting was used in early film. At this point, the audience knew nothing about film, and therefore when it came to watching this, they were afraid as they thought the train was actually coming towards them. It was editing that allowed the film to take off, as it allowed the film to move between any two shots. For example, a setting like a train station to someone's face. It also allows shots to be sped up or slowed down. According to Charles Matthew on how tech has changed filmmaking, the director Robert Rodriguez is famous for getting his shot done very quickly. He describes his process as one long day of work, beginning with the shots and moving into editing, all within the same day.
Entertaining, with humor, romance, and lots of action.
I said, I'm going to take somebody with a name very unassuming, like El Mariachi, and have it...
24-year-old Robert Rodriguez, who made the movie and was in Houston today to promote his film, was originally targeting the Spanish-speaking video market. The film is in Spanish with English subtitles, but the movie has received national acclaim, even though he made the movie for $7,000 in 2 weeks. Now he has a 2-year, $5 million contract with Columbia Pictures.
I keep my feet on the ground because I grew up in a family of 10. I know where I'm from. I know what it took to get there, which was the work.
This is an interview with famed director Robert Rodriguez talking to ABC 13 Houston. Compared to some like George Lucas, who spend quite a bit of time budgeting and post-production, digital effects are created and added to the shot within the same program or group of programs. This software also allows editors to work on entire sessions of a film, easily piecing scenes together after the post-production effects are added in. This interview with George Lucas is him discussing the history and development of professional digital filmmaking to the American Film Institute.
As we went along, and then we finally got to Jurassic Park, and so when I went to say I'm going to do a Star Wars film, I realized that it would be much better for me to actually capture the material in a digital medium, and because it all had to be put into a digital medium in order to work with it in these computers that we developed at ILM. So I knew the whole film was going to be in a computer at some point, and I knew that if I captured it that way and put it in that way.
There are many different types of editing, and it is used in a way that changes a clip to make it better or more appealing to an audience. The first way is cutting. This is a visual transition created in editing in which one shot is instantly replaced by another. Another way is montage. This is when scenes have an emotional impact, and the visual design are achieved through the editing together of many brief shots. The shower scene from Psycho is an example of montage editing. third way is to fade. This is a visual transition between shots or scenes that appears on screen as a brief interval. With no picture, the editor fades one shot to black and then fades into the next. This is often used to indicate a change in time and place. Editing has also had a big influence on music videos. For example, Peter Gabriel's video in 1986, Sledgehammer, was the most played music video in the history of MTV, and also the most awarded. It won awards in 9 categories. This was Video of the Year, Best Editing, Best Special Effects, Best Art Direction, Best Concept Video, Best Direction in a Video, Best Male Video, Best Overall Performance, and Most Experimental Video. The stop-motion effects were created by the Aardman Animations, but specifically in this music video, the editor was director and editor Stephen R. Johnson. Sledgehammer is one of the best examples of how important music videos had to be to become a selling pop star in the 80s. The video itself uses claymation, pixelation, and stop-motion animation. Johnson engaged with British finest stop-motion animators to make it.
If you bring your blue sky back, all you do is call me. I'll be anything you need.
However, if we went back in time to when Sergei M. Einstein, a very successful editor, had his scene from Einstein's Battleship Pumpkin, Odessa's step scene is one of the most famous scenes in movie history. Siegel Einstein is celebrated as a pioneer of film art from the 1920s onwards. He was a Soviet director and a film theorist. His films were a change in their style and content. He had combined images of huge graphic force and the editing of things that had never been seen before by anyone in the industry. Einstein developed Meyerhold's theory with his own montage of attractions, which was a sequence of pictures which would have an emotional effect on the audience, and this is what they wanted to achieve by the use of montage. Thelma Schoonmaker is an editor known for The Departed 2006, Raging Bull 1980, and The Wolf of Wall Street 2013. She was previously married to Michael Powell. She was unable to work in Hollywood as she was denied union, so she ended up working for Martin Scorsese. He then asked her to work on Raging Bull in 1980. She again had to deny because of her lack of union membership. However, she believes that Al Pacino got her into the union eventually. To this day, she still does not know what influence was used to gain her union membership.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is the third film you've given the Oscar to for that was made by Martin Scorsese, and believe me, I know I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for him. You can understand. You can understand what it was like to be given a film directed the way he directed this movie, with a wonderful script by Bill Monahan, the fantastic panoply of actors who were just so magnificent. Working with Marty is quite something. It's tumultuous, passionate, funny, and it's like being in the best film school in the world. I'm so grateful to you and to my two pillars in the editing room, Scott Brock, Joel Hirsch, and Rob Legato and Ron Ames for putting their arms around us and doing the visual effects and supporting us throughout. And to you, members of Academy, I feel very honored. Thank you so much.
One of the most successful edited films was Edgar Wright's Baby Driver, which was filmed and edited very differently to other Hollywood films. It is closer to the editing used in modern music videos rather than film. This is because the movie is heavily influenced by the soundtrack. Every piece of action is built around the chosen song. The editor Paul Matchless edited the movie whilst on set, which is different from the usual way of editing a movie in a studio, with a full editing deck. Edgar Wright has a unique editing style and technique, where he does close-up and quick cuts of action moments. He likes cutting in action moments to get through a sequence, and then cut to the next scene. This type of editing style tends to keep audiences' attention throughout the scenes and sequences, keeping them entertained and gets them to continue watching. A second very successfully edited film was Whiplash. Tom Cross edited this successful Oscar-winning musical drama alongside his director, Damien Chazelle. At first, the directors saw the film as an action film before they changed it to being a musical drama. The musical sequence were edited and pre-recorded music for the major scenes.
5, 6, 7. Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go. 5, 6, 7. You're rushing. Fuck you like a pig. Now, are you a rusher, or are you a dragger, or are you going to be on my fucking time?
I'm gonna be on your time.
What does that say?
Quarter note equals 215.
Count me at 2:15.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Jesus fucking Christ! I didn't know they allowed retards into Schaefer. Am I to understand that you cannot read tempo? Can you even fucking read music? What is that?
Eighth note.
Yes, what is that?
Dotted 16th.
Damien wanted it to cut at the right angles with one cut answering to another cut. The editing style represents the actor's state of mind, which is feeling nervous and false manic at times. The director wanted different cutting strategies. For example, he wanted the music scenes to be like fight scenes showing the violence and brutality. He wanted the viewer to feel the physicality of practicing and playing, the life or death stake that he remembered growing up as a competitive jazz drummer. From this documentary, we have learnt that editing is a huge influence on how a movie is made, because it tells the story for an audience and brings everything together.